The worst thing is I finally saw something with my own eyes. It's one thing to talk about it and hear people talk about it on the radio, etc. I saw this with my own eyes at LAX, the Los Angeles airport. They've built a giant human holding pen. It's obvious. It's quite obvious what it's for. It's for processing people. This thing, they used to park all of our limousines and cars and buses at the eastern end of the north set of runways. There's two sets of runways at LAX. They used to park all of us at the eastern end of the north runway where the planes would land right over the top of us. They moved us all out of there this past summer, which I thought was strange. What I saw was when I pulled in there, and I was followed twice by the cops when I pulled in and I took pictures. This thing it's a holding pen. It could hold thousands of people. It's right next to the tarmac. There's no buildings, no nothing. It's like a 10 or 12-foot fence with a permanent concrete base around the base of it. And there's two sets of barbed wire on top facing in and out. So, there's fences like that all over around the airport area.
They actually have one of those at Bergstrom and at the old airport. And I first reported it was a secret holding pen. But the news said I was a conspiracy theorist, but that it was to hold people during civil unrest. So I'm bad for being right and breaking the news. I don't get an award. I'm bad because I'm right, and it's kooky not to like it.
What's going on at the old airport?
This is where the party could end up, Walt, if A2K and Y2K partiers do get out of hand.
These turnstiles, let me describe them. Because
okay, we're going to go to break. We're going to back it up. We're showing you reports from 12 years ago and yesterday. The piece you just heard is excerpts from a film I made in 2000, Police State to the Takeover, a film I made in 2005, Martial Law, and it's the footage of FEMA running, the military and police putting citizens in a FEMA camp in Seattle. FEMA ran setting up these same detainment facilities at the airports here in Austin. They're still there. And then sold it like, well, it's for any rioting during, Mardi Gras or during the New Year. They just sit there. But it was cops that told me about it. I knew about it before it was on the news. And then we have this new report and the photos that we're showing on the radio, but we have the eyewitness there and we've done some research. It is indeed a high security area and is built on to the flight path so that they can just put people on board the aircraft. Barbed wire facing in and out, turnstiles that are one-way, prison style, places for buses to pull in, ultra super creepy. And clearly a rendition center. So breaking, FEMA camp rendition hubs discovered, past and present. I just played you newscast where they're saying FEMA's running, putting the citizens in the naval brig. And what does the Emergency Centers Act say from last year? They tried to pass. They tried to just legalize what's already there in the bill, that they'll use the old military bases, brigs, under FEMA to hold people during emergencies and civil unrest. What are they saying in the Miami Herald? Let's put all the homeless people in the sports stadiums. What did I tell you was coming during the economic collapse? This has been done in other countries. I've watched the congressional hearings on it. I've read the Emergency Centers Act. I've read the Military Commissions Act. I've read the Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program, declassified in '97 by Clinton. They had U.S. prisoners in secret prisons run by the military, regular U.S. prisoners, for decades before Bill Clinton declassified it. There's real camps already. And you can't get the corporate dinosaur media to cover it. They're now saying it's a conspiracy theory that Drudge is linking to articles showing that Newt Gingrich isn't conservative. That's mind control. If you say lemon pie is lemon pie, they go conspiracy. If you say milk is white, they say conspiracy. You say sky is blue. You have all the documents about FEMA camps. And they're building the hubs everywhere, and they look at you and say it's a conspiracy theory. They talk to you like you're an idiot. They're still saying there's no world government as it's being announced. Let's go back to the end of the piece. This is going on right now at LAX. Here it is, brand new.
Turnstiles, let me describe them. Because you could say, well, it's part of an airport. No. These are those big tubular steel turnstiles. They go in, they don't come back out. There's no way to get back out. There's 4 sets of them, so there's like 16 turnstiles to go into this thing. And it's like the size of 3 football fields. You could get thousands of people. The thing about it that proves what it is is because there's on the fence that goes onto the tarmac. It goes straight onto the airport tarmac. Where, you know, what kind of security is that? They put a big black gate that you can pull trucks, buses, whatever, into this holding pen. So it's built to move lots of people quickly into this pen and then move them onto the tarmac. Now, what is that for? You know, except to move people and put them on the aircraft?
No, that's like the Oklahoma City Federal Processing Center. And this is actually all in the emergency center's established. You can watch the rest of the report at Infowars.com. It's in the article by Kurt Nimmo that just went up minutes ago. FEMA camp rendition hubs discovered. We're going to Twitter this out as well. Please retweet it. Get this article out to everyone you know, please. And in it, we've got KBR putting out the contracts to man the FEMA camps and admitting it's for civil unrest. The barbed wire, the stockades, it's all there. It's all proven in this article by Nimmo with the video that this is a long-term program. I got to get Kurt to add the part about it. They want to put the homeless in sports stadiums and lock them up at night for their own safety. That's already happening in California. In Sacramento, I sent reporters there 2 years ago on that. Now, shifting gears into another big report that we're premiering here on the radio and to those watching on prisonplanet.tv, this new special report breaks down just some of the lies of the incredibly manipulative and deceptive TSA. Here it is.
You to go places in half the time it takes to travel by car. For some trips, it'll be faster than flying without the pat-down.
It's the sort of security we've seen a lot of since 9/11 at places like airports and now here at the bus station.
Specific, credible, recent threats that are causing what some believe to be these invasive screening tactics.
Well, Robin, we know the threats are real, and we've seen this latest information coming out of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula.
Remind Americans why we now check our liquids. It's because a mother was willing to blow up the baby and the entire plane with the liquids.
Right.
The Department of Homeland Security has not been forthcoming with the public about the true extent of radiation risk.
Advanced imaging technology would not have discovered the type of bomb that Umar Farouk Abdul-Muttalib had secreted in his underwear.
Well, I think reasonable people may disagree on that.
We are not retaining, we are not keeping. They're not designed for that at all.
The TSA is reiterating today that although its machines can store images when they're being tested, quote, all functionality to store, export, or print images is disabled.
Throughout history and in every culture, there is a basic precept of law that if someone has been caught lying before...
What's the difference between lying and misleading Congress?
It all has to do with your state of mind and whether or not you had the requisite intent to come up with something that can be considered perjury or a lie.
You should not believe anything else that they tell you.
It would not apply to those who are here illegally. It's not true.
And when someone has been confirmed to be a congenital or serial liar, you are a fool to believe anything they say.
It has been months, and you tell me that you're not, you weren't doing it because of an IG investigation. Well, let's go through a few questions here, Madam.
Well, wait just a minute.
No, wait. Let me finish my question.
Wait just a minute.
Madam Secretary, let me finish my question.
That insinuation is not accurate.
You know about the TSA and their penchant for molesting children, raping women in parking lots, robbing luggage, stealing cash out of wallets, beating people up, and then lying about them. You know about their penchant for child porn and the incredible statistical analysis that we've seen that they are predisposed to engage in crime. No kidding. Who else wants a job groping men, women, and children all day and making old ladies who can't walk crawl out of wheelchairs and ripping colostomy bags off of people's sides? Who else wants to abuse people all day but criminals and control freaks? But in this report, I want to look at just some of their lies because they're constantly lying. And the prostitute traitor stream media that serves the globalist and these brown shirts of the federal takeover need to all be called on the carpet. Now, let's just look at the latest lie that came out today. The Tennessean newspaper reports Nashville airport video doesn't show irate Senator Rand Paul. And they link to the video, and there is Paul being completely calm with the police. They're now also having to admit that he was detained for more than an hour and a half, as he said he was, which under common law is a custodial arrest. So there you have it. Within minutes of this being put out by Ron Paul on his Twitter, the New York Times talked to the TSA and said he wasn't even stopped for 5 minutes. He's a liar, and he was irate. And the police put in their report, part of this culture of lying, that he was irate. All lies by a group of people that lie and lie and lie some more. And then, of course, lie some more. And we have the White House siding with the TSA. We have Rush Limbaugh coming out and saying, oh, his dad's like a Muslim terrorist. You know, let start the groping. You know, after all, he flies on private jets. But let's look at some of the TSA lies that affect us all. Radiation. They've had studies back in the late 1990s from these same systems. That's why they weren't deployed all over the world. These things have been around for decades, that they're massively linked to different types of cancer. So Johns Hopkins and many other prestigious universities come out and put out reports in the last few years saying, our studies show this stuff can give you cancer. I mean, the scans are so powerful, you can see the skeleton bones in the fingers. I mean, it's high-powered. And all these studies come out, so the TSA comes out and says, Johns Hopkins says it's totally safe. And the head of Johns Hopkins radiology department comes out and says, our study actually says the opposite. And the TSA doesn't correct their mistake because it's not a mistake. They are a pack of criminal, out of control, 10th Amendment violating and 4th Amendment violating goons who are now setting up checkpoints on the highways of America. And that's why the feds don't care how much anger or how many tens of billions in tourism the TSA destroys, from foreigners that won't come here and Americans like myself that won't travel because I won't have my family groped, because they're getting ready to be all over the United States. They're going to hire your local police, it's been announced. They're going to run checkpoints, mobile vans. It's already happening. So you think you're just not going to fly and get away with this? Oh, sorry. There's plenty of people that couldn't hold a job at McDonald's that are going to be officer and agent TSA. And your wife's in deep trouble. And your children, they're in even deeper trouble. Psychologists have come out and pointed out that the TSA groping of children is actually training them that when pedophiles touch them to test and see if they've been acclimated for rape, that they will submit to the touching and not say no. And what's the TSA say? They say, we don't think that's the case. And again, lie to the public and say everything's okay, and claim, despite the fact that there are hundreds of videos and photos showing them taking babies' diapers off and going in the pants of small children, they come out and say over and over again for 3 years, we do not go in the clothes or even through the clothes and touch genitals of under 12. And then hundreds of videos come out and they say, okay, we're going to stop. Last time they said that was in November of 2010. And continued it over and over again and said again, we won't do it. Continued it. Lying, lying, lying. First they say it's not groping and sexual assault. Then they say they're not doing it. Then they say they're going to stop doing it and continue it over and over again. Lying about radiation, lying about groping, lying about the sexual assault, lying about the statistics on how many of their people are caught engaged in every crime you can imagine. But then you see bizarre statements on the TSA blog and in their press releases saying there's hardly any complaints. Why? Hardly anyone is against this, and we only pat down 2%, which is a total lie. I fly all the time. I'm forced to as a journalist. I fly a lot. My crew flies a lot. And in hundreds of flights total, we've estimated that at least a third of the people where we fly are groped, including most people who are put through the naked body scanners. So they're lying to you about radiation. They're lying to you about groping and sexual assault. They're lying and saying they're going to stop doing it to children. Or they say they never did it to children. Or they say they didn't go in the pants of Miss USA. And then she goes and gets the video and they admit they did it. But let's continue. A few months ago, a whole bunch of 85 and 90-year-old women, many of which couldn't even get out of their wheelchairs, started reporting that they were taken behind closed doors and made to take all their clothes off. And the TSA came out and said, you're lying, we don't do that.